Yeah, and he's enjoying it. And that was the manifestation, a literal manifestation of playing to the base. As he went through the names of COVID-19 and coronavirus, you could hear the crowd waiting for that racist term that he used. It was almost like at the old rallies when they do the lock her up chants. They were waiting to say it. They were there to hear the hit song, to hear one of his lines. And he delivered it, and he delivered it twice. And it's ugly and it's racist. And imagine being an Asian American in this country and hearing your president say that. We heard that side of it, the ugly racist side. We heard the ignorant side, that he didn't know what the 19 stood for. And then we heard the truly, as John Meacham said on this show yesterday morning, perhaps the most damaging side, which is that he's laying this predicate already that the election is rigged. And why is he doing that? Because we have polls that show him down 14 points, that show him getting crushed among women, suburban women, the people he needs to win over to be reelected. He's laying the groundwork to look back, Jonathan Lemire, after Election Day, if he does lose, and say, this election is rigged. We should not go quietly. Jonathan, you were on that trip yesterday, all day. What was it like first to be, we'll talk about the border in a moment, but what was it like to be around him when he was making that speech?
Well, Willie, what the campaign got out of yesterday is they wanted a burst of enthusiasm. What they're seeing also is the president is increasingly talking to a smaller and smaller portion of the electorate. That base, and even just the diehards, truly hardcore portion of that base. As you said, I was with him yesterday in Arizona. That mega church in Phoenix, was about 3,000 or 4,000 people there, were the estimates, and it was packed. And on one hand, you could tell the president drew a lot of energy from it after the sort of the debacle in Tulsa, where he stared at thousands of empty seats. He was clearly revived to see a large, boisterous, very loud crowd that indeed, you mentioned lock her up. We heard that yesterday. We heard that yesterday, too. But the president was hitting the notes like he was talking to simply viewers on Fox News, or in this case, young Republicans, some of them are college students, trying to make the case as to why the last 3.5 years, why his grievances are what they are, and laying, as you say, potentially laying the groundwork for the ultimate sort of, playing of unfair sports play this fall with the election. So there's a few things. You heard it. The crowd was goading him on when he was going through the names of the coronavirus. They were anticipating. A few of them shouted that racist term before the president said it back and then reveled in it. We heard him talk about the election being unfair. We heard him talk about Joe Biden not being able to get out of the basement and so on. In there was a somewhat of a coherent argument. We heard it a little bit in Tulsa, too, here as well, trying to paint Democrats as the radical left, trying to suggest that Biden, can't control them. They're going to control him. We're going to see a lot of that. His advisors have told us that's an argument they're trying to make that case in the months ahead. But it's drowned out by the other noise, and it's drowned out by today headlines, once again, of him using a racist term that even some in his own staff have urged him, just in the last few days, urged him not to repeat.
Yeah. By the way, Jonathan Lemire looking pretty good this morning after being in 108-degree heat yesterday. But Jonathan will tell you it's a dry heat. Reverend Al, let's talk about, again, the president continuing to use his racist term, and a term that's deeply offensive to a lot of Asian Americans and a lot of other Americans. And you do sit back and wonder. Mitch McConnell was asked what he thought about it, and he wouldn't respond. He said, ask my wife. You wonder what Elaine Chao is thinking about it.
Thanks,
How
Mitch.
long can she stay silent? She stood by him after Charlottesville. He had her stand behind in a press conference as he defended himself in Charlottesville. She said nothing. She's saying nothing now. But we'll see if she decides to ever say anything, because we really don't want to read about it in her book after the administration. She needs to say it now for millions of Asian Americans who need a voice to speak up to this president. But Reverend, you know politics extraordinarily well. New York Times says you're one of the most important players in national politics, certainly for the Democratic Party. I just wonder about, again, forget about the immorality of it for 1 second. Let's just put that to the side. It's immoral. It's wrong. It's demagogic. It's racist. It speaks ill of our president. It speaks ill of our country.
Yep.
But just the politics of it is stupid and self-defeating. Yet he does this every day. You have known him, like I have known him for a long time. Does this guy want to win the election?
It is becoming more and more clear to me that you're right. He really doesn't really want to win this, and he's not doing anything that would demonstrate otherwise. Aside from the immorality and the outrageous racism of it, the politics of it is that he's saying that to vote for me is to identify with outright bigotry of a deadly disease. Let's not act like he's just making a racist term about something that is lighthearted. People are dying and have died about this disease, and you use this racist term to really cover something that is so devastating, which is also why I think Joe Biden is so far and steadily ahead in the polls, because where he's tried to make him Sleepy Joe, Joe Biden is doing what Muhammad Ali did when I was a kid. He's rope-a-dope. He's laying on the ropes and let the guy punch himself out. And if he stays on the ropes in the basement, this guy will beat himself. Then all Joe's got to come out and do is finish him off. He's beating himself to a pulp, and he seems to be enjoying it.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.